I am Sketti. I am a DJ and a producer. We are in my lovely music studio here. She is small but mighty. Not a whole lot to work with in here, but you know, it's all about what's going on up here. What inspires me as an artist? I would have to say traveling inspires me the most. I travel a lot to Latin countries, a lot of Spanish-speaking countries, and I love islands and ocean, and I feel like anytime I travel, I always come back super fueled and inspired to make and create things. I think it's really cool to be in another part of the world with people from all walks of life, different, cultures, language, religion, and you're all just vibing on a dance floor together for the same thing. I just think that's like the coolest thing on earth. So I always get a lot of my inspiration from that. My biggest musical influences. Okay, yeah, this is a big question. It's a loaded question because I feel like I take little bits from a lot of different people, but I would say Sarah Landry, massive. LPGOB, Scream, and Chris Lorenzo are probably my top four biggest musical influences. I mean, Sarah Landry has changed the game, and she's such an icon. I feel like she made techno mainstream, which is just like the most badass thing you could do as a woman, in my opinion. And she's an incredible producer. She's worked so hard to get to where she is, so I really look up to her in that way. LP, I feel like made her own genre, and she's just so true to herself as an artist, and she just the way when she performs, she's just you look at her like she's just this like light air goddess being, and she's doing a lot for women in the industry too, so she is a huge influence for me. And Scream is actually one of the first artists I started to study when I got into music, because I, fell in love with dubstep, and so I wanted to go back to the OG. You have to find the creators, and I studied him like crazy. I would watch, his sets, his interviews, and I even started to copy him. I actually, through an event, he did this like crazy pillow fight set. I think it was a Boiler Room set, and he had this crazy pillow fight, him and Disclosure. I think it was 2012. And I just thought that was the coolest thing at the end of a set, having a crazy pillow fight. So when I threw an event in LA, I asked the club owner, I was like, oh, do you mind if I have like a little pillow fight? I just tried to downplay it like it was gonna be a cute little thing. And he was like, sure, as long as there's no like feathers flying around everywhere. And we like stuffed the pillows full of feathers, had the most insane pillow fight. It was like literally a scene out of a movie, just feathers flying everywhere. And I will never forget that moment. And yeah, that was so fun and insane. So he's a big one for me. And Chris Lorenzo is kind of a newer inspiration for me. I feel like I've probably seen him when I was younger, but I saw him a few months ago in San Francisco, and I was at his afters, and actually watching him interact with the crowd was so inspiring to me. The way, when people come up and they like do the thing with the phone and they're like requesting stuff, and I feel like that's like a nightmare as a DJ. It's like terrifying to think about, people telling you what to do while you're trying to get in your flow. And he just like so gracefully would just be like, yep, okay, mix it in. He would take requests. People like putting their phone in his faces. He would like grab their phone, take a selfie. He was just working with the crowd, and people were going insane. And you could just tell he was having a good time with them, and they were having fun with him. And that really changed the way I looked at DJing in general. And I had a show about a week after that, and I just tried to really embody that with like just interacting with the crowd, not being afraid of people coming up to you, just like keeping your cool and going with the flow. And I feel like it helped me so much as an artist. Like genuinely, I had a huge turning point with performing after I saw Chris Lorenzo's afters. So. I was born and raised in the Bay Area, and I feel like I truly grew up in San Francisco. I spent all of my late teens and early 20s there. That's where I discovered house music, going out in the club scene, raves, all that. So I definitely would say San Francisco raised me. What got me into DJing and producing? I've been a club girl, a raver girl since I was like 16, and I think I would say when I was probably like 20, 21, I was starting to be like, wait, DJs are cool. Like, what exactly are they doing up there? And then I was like, oh, it's like way too hard. Like, I was just like, I don't think I could ever do something like that. In my head, it was very much like, you've got to be born like knowing how to do that, or like really naturally gifted to, have that kind of a skill. And I would say when I was like 24, I was like, okay, I really want to see if I can get this down. And then of course, 2020 hit, everyone was downloading Ableton and trying it out. And I downloaded Ableton and I was starting to explore it. And then I actually, I had someone, my boyfriend was diagnosed with cancer, and I pretty much had to put my whole life on pause because I was taking care of him and taking him to his chemo, and just basically became a full-time caretaker. So anything I was thinking I was going to get into, I was like, halt. He eventually passed away, and then music sort of just felt empty to me, and I kind of took a break from going out, and just like music in general was really hard for me to listen to because he, took me to the clubs for the first time, showed me house music and just the scene in San Francisco. So it was a very weird relationship that I had with music after he passed. And then I did a lot of healing and things and work on myself, and then I actually developed my own illness. I had like a really chronic inflammation situation happening, and I got super sick. Basically, I had such bad inflammation to the point where it was damaging my vocal cords. So I have vocal nodules, which is basically like 2 lumps on both sides of my vocal cords. And the inflammation was causing them to harden. So my vocal cords were never closing and never fully resting. So it got to a point where I couldn't speak. And doctors, it got so bad to a point where doctors were like, you actually can't talk. Like, you have to go on complete vocal rest and go to speech therapy, and just, I had to heal basically. But while I was still fighting this inflammation, whatever was causing it, we were still not sure. So for, weeks, months, I had to take long stints of not talking. And I was just sitting in my apartment alone, couldn't express myself, couldn't communicate. And so was really depressed. So I downloaded Ableton again, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to find a way to express myself and get this out, because I can't use my voice. So downloaded Ableton. I was having such a blast, like in my little world of, not being able to speak to anyone. I didn't really like see anyone. My friends would kind of pop by and check on me and take care of me. But like, I was just loving making really shitty music because I had no idea what I was doing. And then my friend dropped off her brother's decks, and I started DJing, and I was really shitty at that, and I was loving it, just having so much fun. Like, I felt like a little kid, just, like banging on my guitar for the first time. Eventually everything healed, and I was able to speak again. So I immediately signed up for school, and because I just wanted to be I wanted to be the best that I could possibly be. And I really just wanted to understand everything. It was like, once I scratched the surface, I was like, I need to dive all into this and understand sound if it literally is the last thing I do. So signed up for school, got super into it. And then I had never DJ'd in public. So I was like at this school, doing it at home, making music. And I went on a girls' trip to Bali. And all the girls in the villa, we were like running around to the clubs, and they were telling everyone we were meeting that I was a DJ. And I was like, yeah, well, like I'm a DJ, but I don't know, like I've never done it out in public before. But they were like getting me booked gigs left and right. So like people would be like, oh, you're a DJ, cool, come mix with us this Thursday. Oh, go B2B with this guy. And I had all these like really hot like 20-year-old Tahitian surfer dudes like asking me to come DJ with them. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know how to do this. So I spent 3 days like downloading any song I could possibly find. I just went crazy with music. Digging for tracks, prepping. I had a tiny little like controller in my laptop with me, so I was practicing my transitions and like just trying to figure it all out. And my very first show, my very first time DJing live was at this beach club in Bali. Insane. Sunset, little surfer model boys surrounding me. It was a really sick moment, but I just went up there and he was like, all right, you're up. And I mixed in All For You by West End. That was my first song ever played live publicly. And I like nailed it. And I was jumping around like crazy. I was so excited. And anytime I would nail a transition, I would do this like giddy, like happy dance. And it was the most insane feeling ever. And then a woman was there and she watched me and she booked me for 2-3 hour gigs at her club. And I'll never forget that feeling of like showing up there by myself with my USB and my 3-hour set I've, never done in my entire life. And I mean, I rocked it and it was so fun. It went like phenomenally. So basically DJing just took off for me after Bali. Okay, favorite festivals. I honestly haven't been to a lot of festivals. So the most memorable one that I've ever been to though was the Dirty Bird Campout. I think it was like their second year doing it and it was so cool. Like it was just the chillest vibe. It was camping. I don't know if you could ever get me to camp ever again for a music festival, but I was like, 22. And it was just such a good vibe. And like the artists were super involved. They had fun games. And I met like so many cool people. So I would say Dirty Bird Campout, coolest festival. Okay, I'm biased because I always play at Perry's and it's, down the street from my apartment. I literally will just like ride an e-bike to a set and it's such a cool vibe, but it's outdoor, it's on the beach. I'm a beach girl. So Perry's is definitely my favorite. When I am digging for tracks, I'm mostly on Bandcamp. Sometimes I'll do Beatport if I really know what I'm looking for, but Bandcamp is, for me, the best place to just go and get lost and spend hours just clicking and clicking and clicking and clicking, and you can enter into some really cool sound portals. So yeah, Bandcamp is my jam. My process for preparing for a gig, I try to stay pretty organized with my music in general, just like often doing housekeeping like throughout the week, just in case, because you never know when you're going to get a call. But I will go in, I will prep for a gig, and then when I show up to the gig, I usually never actually stick to it, but I do run through it. Maybe I'll record the set just so I know what my flow is going to be. But I've honestly never actually stuck to it. I've always mixed on the fly because you just never know. You have to read the room and feel the vibe of the club. At least at this point in my DJ career, I definitely want to just make sure I'm giving, the crowd what they want. So I'll always prep and act like I'm going to stick to this hour-long or 3-hour-long set, and then I just go with the vibes. I'm an animal person. I love animals, but I am a crazy cat lady through and through for sure. I would say the best party I ever attended was my 13th birthday party that I threw. It was literally a Project X style party. My mom told me I could have 12 girls over, and I threw like a 200 person party in my backyard, and people were like jumping into the pool off the roof, like crazy shit. My parents literally, I thought they were gonna murder me. I was honestly grounded until my 30th party. Okay, so Sketti comes from a play on words with my last name. My name is Allison Cadret. My friends went through a phase where they were calling me Cadretti Spaghetti. And basically when I had no vocal cords and I couldn't speak and I was, becoming a DJ and a producer, my friends were like, we're going to call you Sketti. Like Sketti's a sick name, because they were like, oh, maybe we'll just call you Spaghetti. And I'm like, okay, guys, we're not naming me Spaghetti. That's not a DJ name. And so they were like, what about Sketti? And I had no voice. I really didn't have a say. And everyone was just like, that's it. Your name is Sketti. And I just kind of sat there like, all right, it's chosen me. My musical background. So I grew up very musically. Guitar was definitely my first love. I played the saxophone though. I played the drums at one point, a little piano. I kind of like started and stopped everything, but guitar has always been my most consistent instrument. My dad is an insane guitar player, so just always grew up playing music, jamming. He taught me pretty much everything. My process for producing music, I usually start with a vocal. I always build around a vocal. I will get an idea in my head, or I'll write a song, I'll write some lyrics, and I usually just go from there and kind of grow around that. So I have to say my laptop is my favorite piece of gear right now. I think eventually I want to get like a drum machine and a really cool synth, but I'm kind of the type of person who is like, you need to get really good with what you have before you start buying all the tools, because I just don't want to fill my room with all of these things that I don't touch. So I want to make sure I really use what I have. It might be, honestly, because, and I'm not someone who started from recording kicks into a music studio and then putting it into, a computer that way. I started out with all the advancements that we have. I think maybe reliant isn't the right word. I feel like if you do solely rely on technology for everything, your true expression isn't going to come out. But I think there's just like a lot of great tools. I think it just makes it a lot smoother and easier for sure. But it can be done without it completely, and that's super badass. And, people who have done that for years, like, I give insane props to. AI it can be used as a tool for sure, but it's all about who is behind the tool. So if you are putting a song into an AI generator and you are having AI make you a song and you put that song out there under your name, I feel like it's just, people can see through that and feel through that. Like, music is so expressive, and I feel like people genuinely know like who is behind the art. So AI can be awesome if you like need an idea or need a one shot, or like I write lyrics but I have damaged vocal cords so I can't sing, so it's great to get little vocal snippets. But I do feel like just making AI music, I mean, it sucks. Like, we all have heard AI music. It's not good. So I feel like it's kind of irrelevant. Oh my God, it depends on the day. So I'm in a phase right now with Odd Mob's Get Busy. I played that at when I DJ'd at Ty Dolla $ign's birthday party, and my friends were there, and they went crazy, and it was just like such a funny feeling. And I feel like anytime I hear, Sean Paul in general, it's like throw a fun dancey bass on Sean Paul, I'm done for. Like, you will never see me again. Well, two of my big influences are artists that I've never seen that I would love to. I need to see Sarah Landry, and I have to see Scream. Those are definitely, I need to see them before I die. If I'm throwing a festival, my perfect lineup, I mean, we've got to have Sarah Landry, Scream, Peggy Gou, obviously, Sophie Tucker, Chris Lorenzo. Who am I missing? I feel like I'm missing so many. We gotta have some bass. We gotta have Mary Droppins in there. And me, of course. Oh, and Pasa. Pasa has to be there. Okay, should pineapple be on pizza? I personally think, I'm not opposed to it because I do like sweet and savory, but I just feel like there are some things in life that need to be super basic and simple, and pizza is one of those things. Cheese, pepperoni, maybe jalapenos on the top to add spice, but you pick them off when you eat it. I think the first song I downloaded was, I think it was either Fairy Tale or Hag by Scream. And I've never played them ever.
I know you're mad, cause I'm the shit. I know you're mad, cause I'm that bitch. I can't feel your hate from where I am. You watching my stories while he's taking me to Amsterdam.